Picture this. Alexander Hamilton, the face on your $10 bill, accused of being a secret agent for the British. Sounds like a wild conspiracy theory, right? Well, it was a real accusation leveled against him, and it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the shocking, hidden corruption of early American politics. You think today's politics are messy? Stick around, because we're about to expose 7 scandals that make modern controversies look like a friendly debate. By the end of this video, you'll see the Founding Fathers in a whole new and much more human light. Let's start with our first scandal, the Yazoo Land Scandal of 1795. This was a massive fraud scheme that makes you question everything. Imagine Georgia's governor and state legislature selling a huge chunk of land. We're talking about 35 million acres, which is basically the size of modern-day Alabama and Mississippi, for a ridiculously low price. They sold it for just 1.5 cents per acre to 4 private companies. So, what's the catch? Well, the politicians who made the deal were stockholders in those very same companies. They literally sold public land to themselves for pennies. When the public found out, they were furious. They burned the legislative records in a public ceremony and voted out almost every single politician involved. It was one of the first major examples of citizens rising up against blatant political corruption. This scandal was so huge, it even reached the Supreme Court in a famous case, Fletcher v. Peck, which established that even a fraudulent contract is still a contract. A wild start, right? But it gets even crazier. Next up, let's talk about the original fake news crisis, the XYZ affair. In 1797, President John Adams sent 3 American diplomats to France to negotiate peace. But when they arrived, they were met by 3 secret French agents, referred to in the reports as X, Y, and Z. These agents demanded a huge bribe, about $250,000, just to start talking. On top of that, they wanted a massive loan for France. The American diplomats were insulted and famously replied, "No, no, not a sixpence." When news of this extortion attempt got back to the US, it caused a national uproar. People were chanting millions for defense, but not 1 cent for tribute, in the streets. This incident nearly pushed the young United States into a full-scale war with France. It was a stark lesson in international diplomacy and showed how foreign powers tried to manipulate and exploit the new, vulnerable American nation. It also fueled a nasty political battle at home, as the 2 main parties accused each other of being either too pro-French or too pro-British. The partisan mudslinging we see today, it has very deep roots. Scandal number 3 involves a man you might not expect. Aaron Burr, the vice president who famously dueled with Alexander Hamilton. But that duel wasn't even his most scandalous moment. After his political career was ruined, Burr embarked on a mysterious venture in the West. He was accused of treason, specifically of trying to create his own private empire. The plan was allegedly to seize land from the US and Spanish territories, including Texas and maybe even Mexico, and crown himself emperor. It sounds like something out of a movie. He gathered a small armed force and floated down the Mississippi River. President Thomas Jefferson, his political rival, got wind of the plot and ordered Burr's arrest. The resulting treason trial was a national spectacle. Despite a lot of evidence, Burr was acquitted on a technicality. The Constitution has a very specific definition of treason, and Burr's actions didn't quite fit it. But the scandal destroyed what was left of his reputation, and he spent years in exile in Europe, forever branded as a traitor by the public. From vice president to alleged wannabe emperor, it's one of the most dramatic falls from grace in American history. Now, let's circle back to the man we started with, Alexander Hamilton. Our 4th scandal is the Reynolds affair. This was the first major political sex scandal in US history. While serving as Treasury Secretary, Hamilton began an affair with a woman named Maria Reynolds. It wasn't just a simple affair, though. It was a setup. Maria's husband, James Reynolds, knew about it the whole time and used it to blackmail Hamilton. He extorted over $1,000 from him, which was a huge sum of money back then. Things blew up when Hamilton's political enemies, including James Monroe, who would later become president, got wind of the payments. They accused Hamilton of a far worse crime, using government funds to speculate on the market and covering it up with these payments. To clear his name of financial corruption, Hamilton had to do the unthinkable. He published a 95-page pamphlet, the Reynolds pamphlet, where he publicly confessed to the entire affair in excruciating detail. He sacrificed his personal reputation to save his public one. He proved he hadn't stolen from the treasury, but he admitted to adultery, effectively ending any chance he had of ever becoming president. It was a desperate, shocking move that laid his private life bare for the entire nation to see. For our fifth scandal, we have the Newburgh conspiracy. This one happened right after the Revolutionary War in 1783, and it could have destroyed the United States before it even truly began. The Continental Army was camped in Newburgh, New York, waiting to be disbanded. The problem: they hadn't been paid. Congress was broke. The soldiers were angry, starving, and felt betrayed. A group of high-ranking officers started plotting. They planned to march on Congress and refused to lay down their arms until they were paid. This would have been a military coup. The country was on the brink of collapse. Who saved the day? George Washington. He called a meeting with his officers. He started by reading a letter, but then he faltered. He paused and pulled out a new pair of eyeglasses, something his men had never seen him wear. He said, "Gentlemen, you must pardon me. I have grown gray in your service, and now find myself growing blind." In that single, humble moment, the mood in the room changed completely. His officers were moved to tears. Reminded of their shared sacrifice, the conspiracy fell apart instantly. Washington's leadership and emotional appeal single-handedly prevented a military takeover and saved the new republic from itself. It's a powerful reminder of how fragile the young nation really was. Scandal number 6 is the credit mobilier scandal. Okay, this one is a bit later, hitting its peak after the Civil War, but its roots are in the early, unchecked expansion of the nation. It's one of the most infamous examples of corporate and political bribery in the 19th century. Union Pacific Railroad executives created a fake construction company called Credit Mobilier of America. They then awarded their own fake company massive, overpriced government contracts to build the Transcontinental Railroad. They were essentially paying themselves with federal money, making millions in illicit profits. To keep Congress from investigating, they did something truly shameless. They gave or sold shares in Credit Mobilier at a huge discount to key congressmen and government officials. This included the sitting vice president, Sewler Colfax. When a newspaper finally exposed the whole scheme, it created a massive public scandal. It showed a deep-seated rot of corruption, where politicians were directly profiting from the public works they were supposed to be overseeing. Several careers were ruined, and it became a symbol of the greed and corruption of the Gilded Age. Finally, we arrive at our 7th and perhaps most fundamental form of corruption: the original sin of slavery and the political compromises made to protect it. It wasn't a single event, but a constant, underlying corruption of the nation's founding ideals. From the very beginning, the Constitution itself was a product of a dirty deal. The 3/5 compromise, for instance, was a decision to count 3/5 of the enslaved population for the purpose of congressional representation. This gave Southern states more power in Congress and in the Electoral College than their free populations warranted, allowing them to protect the institution of slavery for decades. This wasn't a secret backroom deal. It was written right into the founding document. Politicians constantly made morally bankrupt bargains to appease slave-holding states and hold the fragile Union together. This systemic corruption of the principle that all men are created equal ultimately led to the nation's bloodiest conflict, the Civil War. It's a powerful and somber reminder that some of the deepest corruption isn't just about money or power, but about the fundamental moral compromises a nation is willing to make. So, from secret British agents and land grabs to sex scandals, treason plots, and military coups, the early days of the United States were far from the perfect, virtuous story we often imagine. These 7 scandals showed that the Founding Fathers and the generations that followed were not gods. They were ambitious, flawed, and all too human people navigating a messy new world. They fought, they schemed, and they made compromises, both noble and corrupt. Understanding this messy reality doesn't diminish their achievements. It makes them even more remarkable. They managed to build a lasting republic not because they were perfect, but in spite of their imperfections. What do you think is the biggest scandal in American history? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching HistorYo, And if you want to uncover more hidden truths from the past, make sure to like and subscribe.